Quinn Listen, everybody.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. How's it going? I do love that Jackson 5. I'm Quinn Wisson. There's some people up there, too. Hello. Hi. So today we're going to be talking about optimizing your content and the top 10 SEO mistakes that we see. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. This is my best self up here, if you don't know what I looked like. I'm the marketing manager for Vertical Measures. We are a search, social, and content marketing agency in Phoenix, Arizona, where we have no humidity, which is pretty cool. So let's get started. We're going to cover the most common mistakes we see. We're going to also talk about how to optimize certain types of content like images, videos, and all that. And then we'll also talk about, well, what does optimization look like in the future? And how can we actually do optimization well to make sure that we rank and show up on the search engine results page. So I'm going to just put this up here. I'll let you read it. So I really hope you never have any reason to hide a dead body, but if you did, page 2 of the Google search results will do you just fine. Now I say this because, how many of us have actually clicked through to page 2 recently? You're probably pretty desperate if you did. But this is just not the place that a lot of people go. So how can we actually optimize our content to be found on page 1 where most of the clicks come through? So here are the most common problems that we find. Number 1, unintentional duplicate content. Now the key word here is unintentional. You probably don't even know that it's happening. So why does this occur? It could be a couple different things, but mainly it has to do with your site architecture. So say you're on like a content management system like WordPress, a CMS. Now WordPress has a few different ways to get to the same piece of content. You might have a category, you might have a tag, you might have an author page, and all of those pull in the content and archive them, and you have duplicate content on those pages. So what are you supposed to do? It's unintentional. You didn't even know this was even a problem. You need to focus on your robots.txt file and make sure you have the correct nofollow or no index tags so Google knows what they shouldn't be looking at. Because Google's not a human, they don't know, so you need to build your sitemap to make sure to tell them, don't look at these pages, but look at this page. Also, talk with your webmasters and see if they can institute a rel canonical tag. So this basically tells Google, here's the most authoritative page for this specific keyword, and don't focus on any of these other pages. So this happens a lot of people don't know about it, so unintentional duplicate content is one of the top problems that our SEO team has found. Number 2, bad backlinks. Now this has a lot to do with, in the past, people would hire link building companies and they would pay for links and they would do it in a very manipulative kind of spammy way. So this is not good. Google sees this and says, oh, you're trying to manipulate our search results. We do not like that. So this can be something that affects your rankings, especially if you're penalized, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But bad backlinks are just no good at all. So you want to make sure to assess your backlink portfolio. Number 3, over-optimization and cannibalization of target keywords. That's a mouthful to say. But over-optimization basically is you're using keywords over and over and over. So say, since Vertical Measures is a content marketing agency, say I use content marketing strategy, and then I use that 5 more times on the same page. It doesn't look natural. It's just not good for you. It's manipulative, and Google sees it that way too. Cannibalization is pretty similar. This is cannibals, right? They eat one another. So basically you have a content marketing strategy page here, and then you have a content marketing strategy page here. Basically one is going to eat the domain authority of the other. It's a cannibal, it's eating itself. So you want to make sure that you are only having authoritative pages targeted with one specific keyword phrase. Number 4, bad and duplicate title tags. Now this one's just kind of lazy. You don't want bad and duplicate title tags because that means you have not tried to optimize a page for a specific keyword phrase, and you've been duplicating it throughout your website. Just don't do it. Same thing goes for this one, duplicate meta descriptions. Why are you doing duplicate pages? They all should have unique value to both the user and also show what that unique value is to Google as well. Number 6, poorly optimized images and videos. And I might say sometimes people just don't optimize these at all. which is a bad thing to do. So before you upload, you want to make sure, okay, where is this going? How am I going to actually include some text, some alternative text that will tell Google what this is? Because Google's not a person, right? Google's a robot, basically, in the form that we're talking about. So Google can't see your images like we can see it. But what they can do is read. So if you create the right alternative text for your images and also optimize your videos, Google will understand what that piece of content is without being a human. 7 is page load time. So Google basically has this baked into its algorithm already. So basically they see that what happens when your page loads, and every single element on your page needs to load before they count that your page has been completely loaded. So basically you're not going to get dinged for a tenth of a second, but if you get over that, you're going to start seeing effects in the rankings, and you might already see that in your results. So you want to make sure you have a good page load time and people are not bouncing off your site quickly. 8, poor or thin content. Now this really goes back to our Panda algorithm change that started happening in 2011, where Google was targeting poor or thin content, saying you're not providing the useful, valuable information that our customers, the people searching, all of us, are looking for. You have tons of pages on your site that are under 300 words, and they're thin, and they're weak, and they're not interesting or useful. Make sure to beef up your content and always use the idea of the user first. Put them first. What do they want to read? What are they looking for? Answer all of those questions first. And then keyword misfocus. This kind of goes back to number 3, where you have just keywords all over the place and you haven't focused specifically on what one page might be optimized for. And then 10, blocked pages or blocked entire website. Now this is tricky, so sometimes I do some freelance graphic design, and I have absolutely done this, and it's horrible, but if you're building a website, or say you're updating your website on a different server, a test server or something of the sort, then you move that site to your actual domain and your actual hosting, but you forget to actually unblock the site from being crawled. Because obviously while you're developing it, you're like, oh, I don't want Google to see this now, but don't forget to unblock it, the whole site, and also specific pages, so Google knows that it's allowed in, it's allowed to index, it's allowed to crawl. This is something that some people forget, and it just happens. But these are our top 10 optimization mistakes that we see. So I wanted to tell you an example. So does anyone in here actually know Marcus Sheridan? No? Okay, can't really see. But basically, Marcus is a really interesting guy, and he owned a fiberglass pool company back in 2008. And so, well, he still owns it. But in 2008, he was going bankrupt almost. He was on the brink of it. So he said, let's get all together with our sales team and create content. Because he had been reading about content marketing, inbound marketing, and he thought maybe this could really work for my business. So he did it. And he completely reversed the fortune of his company, and they're the top fiberglass pool company in the whole country now. And the thing is, he actually now goes and speaks at conferences like this, and he's a content marketing consultant. So, getting back to this story, the limo, Marcus, we saw him at an event in Phoenix about a year ago, and he said, I'm working with this limo company out of New York, and I've been doing content marketing for 5 months with them, and I know what I'm doing, but nothing's happening. I'm not seeing any results. I don't get what's happening. Can you please look at it for me? Because we have an SEO department in our company. So we did, and what we found after they were doing 5 months of content marketing and nothing worked was a few things. We identified a Google penalty dating back to August of 2012. Now, we talked with him about a year ago this time, so that was about probably a year and a half that this website had been under a penalty. So that's obviously a big deal right there, because that means you're being de-indexed, you're not having as many pages on the Google search results, or even any at all. So there's also duplicate content issues. So basically back in the day, a lot of people did this, where they'd write a little snippet about their company. We are a New York City limousine company, blah, 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 blah. And they put that on, what was the number? 259 pages. So Google saw that and said, oh, you're trying to manipulate us with all this duplicate content, which probably led them to being in a penalty. And then there was also duplicate, near duplicate content in the pages and the titles. Again, that thing we were talking about just being lazy. And then one of the biggest issues, which we actually don't see that often, is that almost 100% of their content was hosted externally. So here's their domain sitting pretty right here, and all of their images and a lot of their HTML and text content was on a completely different system. I believe they were using some type of marketing software. So we had to move all of that back because when you're building up the authority here, you're not giving the authority to the actual domain. So that was a really big issue. And then of course they had a lot of spammy anchor text probably from when they used to pay for links. So we went ahead and did our thing and got them out of a penalty. It took a little bit of work. And what happened was within 2 months, their traffic doubled. And then within the next year, since we've talked to them, it's gone up 400 to 500%. So this is a really big deal, that all this stuff they were doing, it affected their content marketing. They couldn't get momentum with their content because their SEO was so bad. So here's the thing I will say, is if you confuse Google, you will lose. You will lose. Because like I said, Google's not a human. It doesn't know the robot side of Google. So you need to make it very clear with your optimization tactics and strategies of what Google should be looking at. So you wouldn't build your house without laying a strong foundation. I think we've skipped, but you wouldn't, right? You wouldn't build a house. You don't want to do that because it's going to fall down. So don't build your content on a foundation of shoddy SEO. It's just not going to work like we saw with the limousine company. Don't do it. So here are a couple opportunities that we have. This is a mixed search results page from Google where we see a couple different things. We see just regular plain content. We also see images. We also see videos. And we also see some points of interest on a map. So there's all types of places that we can show up on the search engine results page by optimizing our content correctly. And various types of content, images, videos, lots of stuff. So here are a couple of the core elements of optimization. And a lot of you probably know these, but we're just going to go through them quickly. Links. Now, a lot of people say links are dead, but they're absolutely not. Why? Because Google tried to run their algorithm without using link signals, and you know what happened? It completely failed. It can't happen. Links are the currency of the internet, and we still have to remember this. Titles and title tags, these show up in the results, show people what they're going to be clicking through to. Meta descriptions are as well showing up in the results, giving the user an idea of what they should expect. And then we have the H1 tag, which is the headline. And we have image optimization, page load times, which we talked about, freshness of content, that's a big one, because the more you update your website, the more Google bots will come and crawl and see that you are a relevant content provider. And then lastly, we have mobile friendliness. We're going to talk about this really quickly because this just came out April 21st of last month. So basically, this was the first time that Google proactively told the community that they would start affecting rankings based on something, which was mobile friendliness. So do you have a mobile-friendly site? Do you have a responsive site? Does it look good across tablets, across phones, across desktops? Does it work under these conditions? So here's an example. They said, starting April 21st, which was only a month ago, we will be expanding our use of mobile friendliness as a ranking signal. This change will affect mobile searches in all languages worldwide and will have a significant impact in our search results. So you can see an example here of now they started actually putting mobile friendly next to their search results when you're on a tablet or a phone. So you know as a user, oh good, my user experience will be good if I click through to this site. You will not get this if you do not have a mobile-friendly website, and you will also start to go down in rankings, supposedly, as Google has said. So what you can do if you're kind of unsure, is my site mobile-friendly? I'm not sure. We've had it for so long, and we designed it years ago. So what you want to do is to go test it out. So go to this mobile-friendly test that Google actually put together, type in your URL, and you will automatically get some results. So you'll see here, this was for our website. It says, awesome, this page is mobile friendly. But then if you don't have a mobile friendly site, it will say bummer or something. But it will also give you a list of things that you can do to fix this situation. So if you aren't sure of that, you might want to put your site through this test, but mobile friendliness is now going to be a ranking factor, especially for Google. So going back to our core elements of optimization, we have a few things to talk about. We have title tags. So title tags are what the users will see when they are on the search engine results page. So this is the first thing they know about you. It affects rankings, and you want to make sure it actually fits into the space you're provided. So I think like mid last year, Google actually changed the font size of their search engine results page. So as you can see, this top example here, the whole title actually fit into the space. But then when that font size changed, you actually start getting that ... which no one really wants to see. So what you can do, and I don't have it on the presentation, I use the Moz Title Tag Tool, the MOZ, their sponsor here, Moz Title Tag Tool. I always paste in all of my ideas for titles before I even draft up a piece of content to make sure it fits, because it will actually show you how it fits into the space. And then, 55 characters. So that's about the way you can do it, is that amount of characters, but I've actually gotten away with more. So you just always want to test it. And then the meta description. The meta description goes along with the title tag. The font size have changed. So it's about 155 characters is kind of what we say, or it says 115, but I actually think it's a little bit more than that. But you also want to test that too. So these aren't so much for ranking or whatnot, but this helps a user understand what they're going to click through to. So it helps with your conversions and click-through rate to your actual page. 115. And then we've got H1 tags. So H1 tags are basically the headline of your page, and it's very descriptive of what this content is. And then you have H2s, H3s, H4s, and basically how you want to think about these is what's the hierarchy of my content? What's the priority I want to tell Google that they should look at? So obviously H1's the top, H2, H3, it goes down in priority there. This is also important for user experience because usually it will be styled differently. So your H tag will be big and bold, and it will kind of get smaller and different styling as it goes down the course of the priority. So how to optimize images. So we put this little Facebook-like button here because we actually, way back when liking was starting to catch on, like this was years ago, we optimized this image on our website, and we had about, I think, 10,000 views in 3 days because your images can now show up, obviously, on the Google image results. So images can be ranked, can get found through there as well. So we want to make sure to optimize our images because you can get a lot out of it. So a couple things you want to do. Don't upload it from your camera. Don't do that. Don't upload a huge, huge file. Just make sure it actually fits the space of your website. And then change the name. Don't upload the DSC or whatever your camera outputs. Actually name it something relevant. So if it was the Facebook-like.jpg or whatever it is. And then also we talked about the alt text or the title tags. Make sure you fill this out because Google cannot see your image. So if I have an image of a red sports car, I want to make sure that my alt text says red sports car, maybe I add red sports car driving in a suburban lot or something like that. Something that's descriptive of the actual image. Don't forget this and make sure to train your whole team because we work with designers and I've had to tell them, hey, please remember to include the alt text whenever you're uploading photos to our website. Something to remember. And then obviously the context matters. So you don't want to just place an image of a red sports car when you're talking about SUVs or something. So you want to make sure that the context and the content around it relates to the actual photo. Videos are very similar. Obviously, don't upload it straight from your camera. Make sure it has the file name. And then tags. Tags are very important. So we've all been on YouTube watching funny cat videos, right? And we have the sidebar. So we have the sidebar of related videos. So basically how YouTube does that is by pulling in your tags. So your tags could be about, if we're talking with the funny cat example, funny cat or yarn and cat, or I don't know what it is. But basically, it will start to have those related tags and related videos on the side based on those. Always use a description. Always make sure you have a description about the video. If you'd like to include a link back to your website, it's a great practice to do. Just make sure you add the HTTP because it won't be a live link on YouTube if you do not do that. So penalties. I like this image. We have our favorite panda and our favorite penguin. These are the big Google algorithm updates that started coming years ago, and they keep iterating themselves. So if you are penalized, well, how do you find out? Because penalties are no good, just like we saw with the limo company. So usually you're gonna know. You're gonna know if you see this happen in your analytics. So this is how you want to look, just see, are we having a traffic drop? Why haven't we gotten as many leads? What's happening on the back end? And you'll usually be able to tell just by looking at your traffic. So then you want to actually sign in. If you have your website integrated with webmaster tools, you'll want to go in there and see, okay, why are we penalized, Google? And it will tell you, like this example says, unnatural inbound links. So that basically tells us that we were building links a while ago and they're all spammy and manipulative and they're pointing back to our site. So we need to actually go through a whole process to reclaim our backlink portfolio and either contact those websites with those links or disavow them through Google. So there's a whole process you actually have to follow. But recovery is possible. As you can see here, we've gone up the mountain and then we stayed up for a couple of months. So once you've hit 3 months of a couple good months, you're seemingly good to go. We did put this together. If anyone has that problem, I'm sorry if you do, but we have this whole kit that has actual spreadsheets you can use to disavow links and a whole kit of how you can actually figure out what your penalty is at vert.ms/Google Recovery if it does help you. So then we've talked about the mistakes, right? We've talked about the different image types. So then how do we actually position ourselves correctly for SEO's future? Now, I'm from a content marketing background, so we absolutely need to focus on content. So there's a few things we need to talk about with content, and obviously it has to do a lot with search. So how do we be the answer that someone finds online when they're looking for something? So here are a few really good stats. I taught the workshop yesterday, and I asked how many people have searched online before making a purchase decision, and almost everyone raised their hand. Technically, it's about 93% of all people search online before making a purchase. 93% of people are looking for answers to what they want to buy. And then 86% of searchers conduct non-branded queries. Now think about that. If I'm looking for hiking boots, I'm maybe not searching for REI, I'm searching for hiking boots. So you need to remember that we don't actually need to always brand ourselves. The content is all about the information people are looking for. So how can you be on the end of their search? How can you be the best answer that they can find? And then third, we have 90% or more of buyers click on the organic links rather than the paid ads. So Google is a billion dollar company, right? And they make most of their revenue through the paid ads on the side or the top. But where we all make our money as marketers and business owners is in the organic part. And that's where 9 out of 10 people are clicking. So we need to remember this as we are creating content. So buyers are searching for information that helps them make an informed decision. Businesses that provide that information will win at the whole digital marketing game. So how do you win? Okay, I gave you this great thing, this great little quote. So how do you actually do this? You need to come up with hundreds of ideas for topics to then create content. Now, I mentioned yesterday the whole Moneyball analogy because I really like the Brad Pitt movie Moneyball, where basically he just wants people to get on base. I just want you to get on base. I don't care if you are a pitcher doing first base. Your whole goal on my team is to get on base. So this is you getting on base. This is you creating enough topic ideas that you just get on base, you move to the next base, you get to the third, and then you get home. I could care less about home runs. I could care less about grand slams because the odds of those are small. The odds of getting a hit and getting on base are 1 in 4. It's totally possible. So let's talk about how you do that. Do some research. Get on Google. It's everyone's best friend, right? So if I ever wanted to get married in Napa Valley, not like I would, but we can do some research. So I just start typing in Napa Valley wed, and it basically fills in the rest of the information I'm looking for. We've all seen this. So it's giving me right here, packages, venue, photographer, cost on a budget, that's interesting, planners. So I've already gotten, 6, 7 different ideas just from suggest. And I want to point out that these are actual ideas people are searching for. These are actual phrases people have used in Google. They're not just throwing these ideas out there to you. Then scroll to the bottom of the page and you will see related searches where you get even more ideas. So I have packages, venue, cost, pictures, cakes, flowers, planner, lots more ideas. I have 20 ideas just from searching a couple of words on Google. Then go and use a couple different tools. I really like this one. We used this in the workshop yesterday. It's called keywordtool.io. Now what's cool about this is it basically does the whole thing that Google does with the suggest, but then it adds a letter after it throughout the whole alphabet. So it will say Napa Valley Wedding A, Napa Valley Wedding B, and then it will fill in words starting with that letter. So you can see here I found 195 results for Napa Valley Wedding. I just found 200 different topic ideas, or probably close to different topic ideas, through like 3 minutes of searching. A really great tool. And then we have this sg.serpstat.com. sg.serpstat.com. So this is another great one because it actually gives you questions that people are asking. So if I can read this, it says, which Napa Valley wineries to visit, which is the best winery to visit, where is Napa Valley, California? So these are kind of peripheral to the wedding whole idea, but it's still content that people are looking for. So a really cool, another interesting tool to get some topic ideas from. And then I go to Yahoo Answers, another really great place because people are having a discussion all throughout this. So we have Napa Valley Wedding, more than 110 questions about this. 110. These are people already looking for information and they're asking questions. So what I kept seeing was, how do I plan a budget Napa Valley wedding? I kept seeing this. I don't know if you'd really go there for a budget Napa Valley wedding, but nonetheless, this is what I kept seeing about a good cost wedding. So I decided to do a little research and I typed in plan a budget Napa Valley wedding into Google. And so I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but just think about what stands out to you here. I'll answer it. Nothing. No one answers my question. There's no content about planning a Napa Valley wedding. And I did this signed in and signed out of Google because it personalizes your results. So no one's doing this. So hey, if I'm a florist, if I'm a wedding planner, if I'm a venue, I know people are looking for this because I already did my research and I just found a gap to fill. I found a gap to fill with my content. So this is the process I recommend to get on base, to get those hits, to be a Moneyball content marketer. So then you want to list all those ideas in a spreadsheet. Put them all there, get your keywords there, say, should it be an article? Should it be a blog? Should it be an infographic? If you want to take it to the next level, look at the competition. Look at the search volume. Because if you have high competition, high volume for that keyword phrase, there's no gap to fill. But if you have maybe medium competition, high volume, even low competition, money, do it, fill it. And then you want to put together an editorial calendar. And this is super important because internet marketers don't do this that often. They don't think like a publisher, and we need to. We need to plan out our content around seasons, around conferences we go to, around our KPIs, our objectives for our businesses. So we look at the year, but then we take it down to the month. And then we take it down to the week, and we take it down to the day. And we say every Tuesday we have a written blog post. Quinn Wisson is assigned to this blog post. She owes me a draft a week before. Because if you can't schedule this out, you're not getting on base because you're not even getting up to bat. So plan it out, think like a publisher, have a content calendar. This is downloadable. I just made an Excel, but it worked for us for probably a good year. So verticalmeasures.com/calendar if you want actual spreadsheets to work on. So we decided, let's try this out for the purpose of a presentation. Let's actually try to rank on Google with this process. So we were doing a conference in Mesa, which is a suburb of Phoenix, And we decided to figure out, okay, what are some restaurants we can go to near the Mesa Convention Center? So we typed it in, and again, I want you to look at that and think about what you don't see or what you do see. So I'll answer it again. I don't see anyone answering that question. The stuff with the little pins on it are just Google Map places. So there's no hotel, Mesa Convention Center hasn't even answered it, no restaurant has answered this. So what can you do then? Can you look and see that maybe this is an opportunity, maybe this is a gap that we can fill? So we decided to try it out. Our VP, Mike, he has a tourism, or ArizonaTourism.com. It's by no means a very authoritative website, but he does have it. So we wrote a little post with that exact phrase, restaurants near the Mesa Convention Center, wrote a short intro, and included a few different restaurants nearby. And then within, I think about 30 days, we were at #1 on Google for that same phrase. So this is what you want to follow, is come up with tons of ideas, optimize it correctly, because if you're going to spend 5 hours creating a piece of content, you sure as well need to spend 15 minutes optimizing it to be found. Don't just press publish and expect things to be magical. So this is the process. Find the gaps, fill it with content, and see what happens. You never know. So we have this book that we just released, and it's for free. We just put it online, but basically it goes through all of these steps. So each chapter is a different step, and one step is optimization, one step is ideation, the whole Moneyball thing. So you guys can download it. It's at vert.ms/cmworks. And that's all I have for you, so thank you. If anyone has any questions, I'll just pop right over here, and I'm happy to answer them. But thanks so much for coming. Thank you.
Keep it going for Quinn, everybody. Quinn Weston with Vertical Measures. All right. We got a quick break.